So it's late and I'm on here ranting. Why? For so many reasons. As you well know, tonight this afternoon we picked up a new car and that went well, but I came back to the biggest pile of nonsense I've seen in one hell of a long time on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. You name a medium, and I saw ridiculousness happening. Some of it was pathetic and pitiful and horrible. This morning, when I did my live, hey, dinners, oh, I'm mad, dinner's ready. I am mad, and more mad tonight. You just don't even know how angry I am. I just took a shower hoping to cool down, and it ain't working. I'm just feeling very hot and bothered and annoyed right at this second. We picked up our car. It should be a joyous day for us, but the car that we are storing that we used to go pick up the car broke down, and I think the engine is shot. So that happened. So that's kind of crimped our joy. The other thing that crimped my joy today was listening to poor Latisha Bias cry because a YouTuber has said ugly things about her. A YouTuber that nobody respects, that Miss Latisha doesn't need to pay any mind to because this person is so awful in so many horrible ways and has done so much harm to so many people that Latisha just needs to consider that this person is just a jerk. They're beyond a jerk. They are one of those people that just do not. Yeah, Angela Barrett, I can't sleep either. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight because number one, I'm angry at what was done to poor Latisha Bias because it's just not right. It's just not right. KJ called her an egg donor. KJ, who won't spend any time or take care of her own child, has the nerve to call another woman an egg donor. And not only that, to make her cry by speculating on why she did not have custody of her child instead of cutting her a normal amount of grace and pity for that. People give up their kids for all kinds of reasons. And it doesn't mean they don't love their kids. It doesn't mean they're not their kid's mother. Rock Serenity, you are absolutely right. Small town Jewel, yeah. My car is fine. This was the car that we were storing for the guy. We took it to Liberia to pick up the brand spanking new car. We picked up the car. The new car is wonderful. It's the other car broke down. And the guy that I know is an idiot. He's probably going to demand that we put a new motor in it or whatever. He only paid $500 or $1,000 of the thing in the first place. It's just not drivable. It never was. So what's going on with Katie Joy calling Latisha all this stuff is just blowing my mind in the worst way possible. It's just like every time we think that that Catherine Paulson cannot possibly hit a new low, she's like, hold my damn beer right now because I'm going to do something worse and worse each time. And that's what she does. She does something so mind-boggling that the average person goes, say, what? Why would you do that? Why would you deliberately make a family already in pain? Why would you increase their pain by making all these allegations? She said that Dre killed her husband by putting him up on, was it kratom? I don't know how you pronounce any of those new drugs, and strangled him. She said that when he isn't even dead. And there's no evidence of that. Now she's backed off from that. KJ is mad she's not making money off the exclusive story. Hey, Danielle, I don't care how exclusive she thinks it is. This is just vanilla wrong. These people are not celebrities. They didn't ask for any of this. The only reason it got any kind of play at all is that Dre is kind of a low-level online celebrity because of some of the more bizarre views she holds. I knew she was a horrible person. This is so far beyond small town Jewel. I know. I look at this and I'm just jaw dropped. She is such a great mom. Look at her new patio. Not a single place for her son, even though she accused neighbors of attacking her son and says she can't bring him to the neighborhood. All I could do looking at that new patio is look at it and wonder why on earth they did not make the space under the deck a playground for him. She's already said he can't be exposed to the sun because he just can't. And that he has to be so careful of everything. Why not turn that? Why not pave that area? Put a thing below the patio, the deck, so that no rain gets on Vaughn, and turn that into his own personal little place to play with dinosaurs or whatever. She could have hung privacy screens if she was worried about everybody in the neighborhood looking at the kid. She could have done so much better for that child. But she doesn't, but she didn't. It's all about her. It has nothing to do with her family, the child, or nothing. KJ is bitter and vengeful. She isn't getting the exclusive she wants. She will start to defend Dre soon. I give her a week max before she starts to defend Dre. Exactly. I never understood why get a patio when she never steps outside. Exactly. I'm beginning to wonder if the sunlight is going to melt her, like, the Wicked Witch of the East and the Wicked Witch of the West melted when someone threw water on her. Maybe sunshine is the thing that kills KJ. I don't agree with this stuff, but how is it different than Molly Golightly stalking people she's convinced are guilty? They both done wrong. Dinner's ready. You said a mouthful. That's very true. That's very true. I'm not going to say it isn't. Yeah, I think they're very close to each other too. But in this instance, Molly Golightly is actually doing the right thing. So we want to reward good behavior and punish bad behavior. Okay. And I don't know if any of you were here the other day when I had a live stream where I was talking about somebody on Facebook that I'd never heard of before had made all these proclamations about KJ and shared all these different videos by different creators, including one by Unirock of all people, to prove Catherine's guilt. Okay. Unirock is one of her supporters. I finally had to just tell this person, hey, Unirock is a supporter of Katie. I would not be using one of his videos to justify anything to throw rocks at Katie. Well, this person is making a bunch of claims about the family of Marvon and filing suit against KJ. That may be. That may happen. I kind of hope it does. But here's the thing. Legal paperwork, or it didn't happen. I'm just going to come right out and say that. I am too fact-based to ever take anything like that. I do my own research. I look at everything. Sometimes I'm wrong, and I have to back up and say, hey, I was wrong. But I learned, especially with writing for Pathos, that I had to look at everything and make a determination, because I was writing an opinion column, just like I'm talking opinions here. I go with what I have. The fact that she uses Sherelle's world and shoes in the air, just like Molly, flipped it in her messed up mind. She's a part of the Black community. And sadly enough, I saw that the Queen Tulsa, or whatever her name was, I can't even remember, is trying to contact KJ. KJ made some kind of comment about she wanted to hold a thing about how racist Molly Golightly was and talk to this person and been on Molly's channel about how racist Molly was. It's more using. And as I was telling people today that were asking me about it, I said, well, I'm icing the Cokes and making the popcorn because it's not going to end well. Anybody that collaborates with KJ ends up stabbed in the back, as I well know. Yes, and Renelle's video broke my heart today. I've just been agitated ever since seeing it. It's just wrong on every level. It is just wrong. And I am all in favor of Vernell being the one to raise money for Latisha to sue. KJ and Molly Golightly are the last two people I would want helping my family. Honestly, it's a shame Latisha even had to meet either of these women. KJ is definitely being nasty and cruel. Molly Golightly is just messy. Feeling kind of breezy. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing here too. I would advise against any collaboration. And so would I, but apparently she's going to do it. So they could talk about how incredibly racist Molly Golightly is. So, like I said, I've been sharing this. I shared this a couple times about somebody over on Facebook with a fictitious name that was claiming they were a journalist or a media person. Was saying all this stuff about the family suing KJ and, well, about the KJ, but the fundraiser that KJ was promoting for Marvon Sr. being fictitious. Like I said, while I suspect that's true until I actually see proof, and I mean legal paperwork or copies of what was used to shut it down, then I can't say for sure whether it is or not. Her claim that Dre had Vaughn moved because he was a person of color and not being treated right. Yeah, that is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous claim. You know, was he initially taken to a veterans hospital or was it later he was moved to a veterans hospital? God bless them. Veterans hospitals do an important job. But let's face it, they're not exactly the most luxurious accommodations on earth. If I had insurance and I had the possibility of having my partner in a private hospital versus a VA hospital, guess which one I would choose? That's just me, though. Other people might feel differently about that. Her claims are getting nurses and doctors harassed and threatened. Yes, that's the scary thing. Small town Julie, yeah, that's what I remember. Was moved from a VA hospital to a private hospital, which makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. It has nothing to do with him being a person of color. Like I said yesterday, sure enough, women of color get horrible treatment by the medical professions. And I'm sure men of color do as well. But women across the board get horrible treatment all the time. We get reduced to less than nothing. Yuma doesn't have a veterans hospital. He's moved to a veterans hospital. The closest one to Yuma is in Tucson. Yeah, Heather, I don't know. I don't know anything about that part of the world except that I once drove through there and spent the night. Where did we spend the night? We spent the night in Las Cruces, New Mexico. I think the next night we were in California, maybe. So this was many, many years ago. So my recall of the area is very dated. And my husband's been out of the military so long, I couldn't tell you where the dearest ones are. But again, I'm seeing these claims and by various people that there's, yeah. Yeah, I like Justin. I agree with you there, Carolyn Wilson. Yeah, I thought they were very close to the Mexican border. I wasn't sure. If she was really trying to hide him from her family, transfer him straight across the border to Mexico, where medical care is quite cheap compared to the US. Why not go for broke? That's what I'm throwing out. It's just as ridiculous, some of these conspiracy theories that are being thrown out. The family needs to be left alone. I haven't heard the audio of Latisha crying yet, but I assume it's just heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. It is hideously heartbreaking, and I will give Molly Golightly that. She played it this morning, first thing, and it is heartbreaking. She just keeps crying about not being by KJ saying that she is not Marvon's next of kin, that she's not his mother, that she's an egg donor. It's just too far. And I hope she does sue. But at the same time, these claims of people saying, this one's suing and that one's suing, and this has happened and that is happening. I'm going to state it yet again. Until I see legal paperwork, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know what's happening. There is somebody that came into my live stream the other day and was giving me hell because I had said that something that somebody on Facebook said was something that I would only believe when I saw paperwork to that extent. If I see the proof, if I see receipts, then I believe it. But until the moment I see receipts in these lawsuits and these claims of these various things, I don't believe them, because we've seen in Pitchfork Nation claims thrown all around. Just look at how many times that KJ has reversed herself on this case alone. Any care facility would have to be approved by the VA or to be covered by private insurance or individual. That's kind of what I'm thinking, because I know how they do with insurance. Now, they would probably approve to Mexico. Most insurances will approve overseas. Veteran long-term care. Carol, that's, you might be able to keep somebody brain dead alive a long time. Most places will encourage you to make arrangements for end of life, because while some people are able to be maintained that way a long time, it's a waste of a bed and other things. He's not brain dead. I mean, his mother saw him and said he's breathing on his own, and I think they said that he squeezed her hand. That's not brain dead. That's very different. So everything that's being reported is just crazy. We just need to leave them alone and let them iron out whatever the problem is with their family, whatever the problems are. Let the family see Marvon Jr. and let Marvon Sr. and Latisha and whoever see him that want to in the family. Nobody is being prevented right now from seeing from the family seeing what's going on, seeing him. Whatever happens, if he's severely damaged, if he's not so severely damaged, all we can do is pray for them. You were right, Angela Barrett. Whatever, the family is going to be grieving for a long time, no matter what happens, no matter if he's only mildly. I can't even begin to think of how traumatizing this is for the family. The Facebook group archived, all the drama. It was a collective decision to temporarily take a break from the groups. Well, I generally don't ban people unless they're coming here to post porn, or they are coming here and they're fans of a certain troll, and I just ban them. But I had said come in the other day that I'm just going to go ahead and ban them. They're haranguing me on Twitter, telling me that I'm messing with their money. And they're wanting to keep this all stirred up, apparently. And they're the ones making all the allegations about this one suing or that one not suing, or KJ having all these things against her because of she was raising money illegally. I can't speak to any of that. I don't know any of that. But here's the thing. Whenever I do a little research on somebody, I did a little research this evening on someone. It's another YouTuber. It's a newer YouTuber. Not that there's anything wrong with being a newer YouTuber or having fewer commenters. I mean, subscribers. We all start somewhere. From smallest acorns grow mighty oaks. I don't have a problem with that. And I'm not saying that at all. But here's the thing. You're not going to come in here and harangue me over something that I've said is somebody has written for 10 years for Pathos, and now working on my own darn books, my pile of books, my endless pile of stupid books. I'm moving to Costa Rica and my old time in my old church. Show me the money. I like to see rumors. I don't like to see rumors. I like to see proof. I like when you make an allegation that somebody has committed a crime, to see that they have committed the crime. I want to see the proof. I've yet to see any proof. I want to see legal documents. I don't want to hear I don't want someone constantly showing up to tell me that I'm screwing up left and right when I haven't seen any proof. I've seen no proof. So I'm not saying that that's the way it is. What KJ's done is tacky. It's horrible. It's inhumane. It's heartbreaking on every level. Make no mistake about that, but it is not illegal. Is it defamation? Yeah, probably. But that's between the person who's being defamed and KJ, not between, I don't know, Dinner's Ready. She's been accusing various people of being drunk on lives, including Molly Golightly. It just makes me laugh. Girlfriend, only thing I got is crazy lyrical brain going on, and the fact that they switched around my allergy meds this week. So I'm a little goofy. Their mental well-being was being pushed. They were attacked, and if they blocked or deleted nasty comments, they were accused of lying and stealing. Rock, Serenity, I know that. And that's why I'm addressing this here tonight, because I am about to hit the bomb and block this person. Chronically Be Queen, I don't know if it helps with the restless leg. It helps me tremendously with the nerve pain I have from having had 2 strokes. So I have significant nerve pain. It helps tremendously, but they're having to increase the dose on that. So it's like Goofy City again here. Oh, I don't know if there was an update on Summer Wells. I haven't kept up with that one either, Angela. That's another one I need to look at. The only good thing that's come out of this is I got to geek out on the historical aspect of the whole Tar Baby thing yesterday, because I absolutely love language. I love how it develops. I love how some of these apocryphal tales come about. Insomnia chat. Yes, Melody. I am way too agitated to sleep right now. I also have neuropathy, so I'm going to ask. Chronically Be Queen, ask, but be aware that it is quite addictive, and you just can't stop it cold turkey if you start it. And sometimes they have to keep upping it. Tony Admin was kind to KJ and tried to be her friend. Usual KJ victim, but Molly. East Tennessee. Oh, yeah, I've driven through there. Yeah, Chronically Be. If you're aware of it and you don't run out of it, you're golden. But the problem, and it does work really well for nerve pain. So that's why I'm not too upset about the addiction aspect of it. For the last year, been on the same dose. They had to up it by 50% because it had stopped working and I was unable to sleep as a result. I was having nerve pain while I was sleeping. It was waking me up. Chronically Be Queen, I've had very few side effects. You've gotten to witness one here the last year. What I'm doing right here, I drool on myself when I talk, which is irritating as can be for this, but it allows me to be honest and open about some of this crap, because before that, I never really was as into talking about being chronically incapacitated. I mean, chronically ill. A lot of us here are. And it's more common than I ever dreamed. The side effects aren't too the side effects aren't too bad. It is what it is, Chronically Be. I'm just happy that I got myself situated with my CPAP machine finally. They did clear one of the men arrested in Dylan Round's disappearance. There's so many people that have disappeared. I'm disturbed to see all the Native American women who've disappeared without a trace that none of the media has gone after. I wrote a book that I'll never be able to publish because the family asked me not to publish. I got it all the way to edited before the family said, hey, no, because the Bossier Parish cold case person that was dealing with them told them that I was about to screw up the case for them, which was stupid because it had been over 40 years since the murder. And the girl was a poor white girl who wasn't blonde hair and blue eyed. So she wasn't in the media. And they just let the case lag. And the little girl, they never found out who her murderer was. I wrote a column for Pathos about it. I wrote actually 20 some odd pieces. It was picked up by newspapers all over Louisiana and Texas where this girl disappeared from and ended up dead in. It's a cold case by the name of the Caroline cold case. And it was never fully established where she was murdered. She was clearly dumped, not murdered where they found her. At the time that I wrote this series of articles, I felt it was likely she'd been at the New Bethany Home for Girls, owned by Back Forward, and that she'd been murdered there, or her murderer was somehow connected there. Now I'm not so sure. I went back over the articles. I went back over everything that I'd written to do the book. And it started to look to me, combined with the interviews I'd done, that maybe it had been a sex trafficking that had gone wrong. And so many of the girls that had gone to New Bethany were either disappeared at truck stops or they were driven by the police to truck stops when they ran away. I think it's a possibility. And the interesting thing to me about that area of the country is where the interstates cross, the main north, south, east, west interstates cross right there in Shreveport, Louisiana, very close to Bossier. And Bossier has a large military base that part of it is Woodlands. I believe that the little girl, she was 17, that somehow it involved trafficking. It may have involved New Bethany, but I believe she was trafficked. They attempted to traffic her and it didn't go well. So many women have disappeared in that area. And at the time, the Shreveport police had their thumbs up their rear ends and did not connect the cases in Bossier, the cases in Shreveport, where the interstates crossed, how many women disappeared. And I think a lot of women were probably trafficked from that area back in the late 70s, early 80s. This is the time frame I'm talking about. So and I had a full file case of documents. I pulled documents from Louisiana State Archive. I talked to so many different people in connection to this. And every time I wrote an article, I think it was either a Thursday or a Tuesday, it was a Thursday, I think, that I posted in an NLQ for like 6 months. People, I'd get tremendous hits. And the family would tell me that the cold case squad had reached out to them and told them to tell me to shut the heck up because I was harming the case. You're from South Louisiana, Grand Isle. Yeah, the Baton Rouge serial killer. I remember him too, Rock Serenity, because I went to school in Baton Rouge. My family was from all over South Louisiana, New Orleans, Bayou Manchac, Ponchatoula is where the family's from. And I spent some years in Baton Rouge, and I remember those frightening years when that was going on there. Morgan City, yeah. There was a lot of just evil going on along the interstates there. Bodies were turning up. And we both know that the Baton Rouge Police Department also had their thumbs up their rear ends. Yeah. I was shocked by Uvalde because this is what cops train for all the time. They train to run into these situations and do these things. Those cops did nothing, which still blows my mind. Your family were professional shrimpers. Mine weren't that high class. My grandfather raised cattle in Ponchatoula. My other grandfather, I still don't know what he did. He had a dry cleaners for a while. He had a dairy for a while. He did a lot of different things for a while. And he also made moonshine. So I don't know for sure what all he did. So there was that. And there was my poor father who worked at a bank in Louisiana, who was vice president. trying to make his own father fly right and not drink, not very successfully. So there's all that. Louisiana is a place unto itself. And when I was writing the book, I was explaining the vast differences between South Louisiana and North Louisiana. It's like two separate continents because it's so incredibly different how everything is approached. Everything. And most people don't realize that about that. So I did go into some great detail there. I may still at some point still publish this book. I now live about a half hour from Uvalde. Oh my goodness. The police are harassing a woman who ran in the school and grabbed children. I saw that. That is a shame. That is horrible that they would give her hassle for that, because that's really, she saved her children. And I don't know any mother who wouldn't. And that leads us back to Latisha. Obviously a mother's heart. And a mother's heart is broken when something happens to a child, no matter what may have gone down in the past. A mother's heart, it always goes to those things. And I just can't. I don't know how they sleep at night, either. And I don't understand law enforcement that is not trying to knock out as many of these cases. They're not shaking the bushes, who are covering for people. Because let me tell you something. With the Caroline Cole case, Bossier Parish Police did everything they could to take any suspicion away from Mac Ford and New Bethany Home for Girls. And there was plenty of things they could have come down on Mac Ford about, like a ton of bricks, and they chose to look the other way. It's the old Southern thing where he with the money runs everything. Mac Ford had a ton of oil and gas leases. He was a friend of Governor Edwin Edwards. Edwards apparently in his pocket. I was opening crew at a casino in Lake Charles. All the industrial sections of that area, as well as the trans people that went through that area. Yeah, I can imagine. I can just imagine. So all of this just makes me angry and angrier. I don't understand for the life of me why law enforcement in some areas of the country just will not do their job. Will not do their job. And there's so many times where law enforcement takes heroic action and we never hear about it. It never makes the news. And God knows there are all those guys out there. But a Uvalde, a George Floyd, and to this day, I don't know how anybody can watch the George Floyd thing and think he was anything but murdered. You don't kneel on somebody's neck and grin. You just don't do it. I don't care how high they were, what they did. The Bossier murders easily slipped through the cracks. Yes, they did, because law enforcement there was not on top of things. And again, it wasn't white, blonde, blue-eyed society girls who were disappearing. That is why. And the more I wrote about them, so I've shelved that project for now. It doesn't mean the project is always dead. I believe that the Bossier Parish Sheriff's Department is covering something up. I don't know what it is. I don't know why they're covering something up. But I feel like they dropped the ball on this thing. They dropped the ball, and they are not eager for anybody to know that they dropped the ball. 40 years is a long time for a murder to keep having echoes. They blamed it on a prisoner that died. What are your thoughts on police not allowing JonBenét's DNA? They should be testing all the DNA from all of that, all of it. And that was what was so horrible about the Caroline Cole case. The facility where they had the DNA, they had the clothing, they had everything stored, burned down. So there was no DNA. There's no touch DNA. There's no fiber. There's no nothing. Nothing. And the way that the city of Boulder Police Department handled the JonBenet Ramsey case is just mind-boggling. Vanity Fair seemed to suggest that perhaps Fleet White, who was the boss of Jean Bonnet's father, John John Ramsey, that he may have had a hand in it. I don't know, but I think it's pretty clear it was not John or his wife, Patsy. It was somebody entirely outside the family that came in and did this. They're refuting even against her dad to have it tested now. I read that and I'm just like flabbergasted. Why would they do that unless they have something to hide? For too long, law enforcement, that they've been allowed to get away with this crap throughout the US. And don't get me wrong, not at all. I am pro good police. I'm anti bad police. They're supposed to protect and serve the people of a town. They shouldn't be fearful. To this day, I'm afraid of the police department. Why? Well, because roughly 10 years ago, somebody I know in the town I lived in Virginia, a very mild-mannered 52-year-old woman that I knew pretty well because she sang behind me, beside me, and behind me at worship team, was gunned down in the middle of our small southern town. She was shot in the back 5 times. Why? What was her crime? She was white. She was middle class. She was middle-aged. Her crime was refusing to show a driver's license to the cop because he was yelling at her. And she had mental health issues. She tried to drive away and shot her in the back. He just unloaded his gun in front of a school. This woman who probably weighed 90 pounds, soaking wet, was maybe 5 foot tall. No match. Well, that's excellent that they're offering to test free of charge, but if they won't release the data to be the things to be tested, it's kind of over with. That's the thing. And all these people that are saying that her brother did it, that is just vile. I don't believe that at all. I never did. It's just people want to do a lynch mob on the family because, they're who the cops look at first. And I always found that case disturbing because they never looked at any outside people, even though, Patsy had the girl involved in the pageant world. Let me tell you, there are a lot of freaks and weirdos around the pageant world, including a number of, how to say this nicely, there are a fair amount of pedophiles that you will find in the pageant world around the edges. That's the sad truth of the matter. I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought there was not someone in that home. Oh, gosh. I don't know if Fleet White played Santa Claus at any of the parties. But the night that she disappeared, they had been to his house for a Christmas party. He may have been dressed up as Santa there. It's disgusting that these kids think all of these horrible crimes will make them famous. So sad. Rock, I've got to tell you, that is the most heartbreaking thing. I was talking to somebody that everybody's throwing rocks at. I should be throwing a rock at her too, because she faked a pregnancy for money. But I refused to throw rocks at her because I don't know how much of it was her and how much it was pressure from her husband to do this thing. We were talking about, how do you get to these kids that think their lives are worthless and the only way to redeem themselves, that's not even it. The only way to get famous or to get their manifesto heard is by taking out the innocent, by showing up at a mall and shooting people in the head, a hospital, a school. Schools seems like a hideous target. When I hear there's a shooting at a school or a church, I'm always taken aback. especially school, because what have those poor kids ever done? They're really pushy. This is something. I know they are. And it's really pretty awful. The question is, how do you reach out to the people that are like that in this world? I don't know about you guys, but I've gotten to where when I'm going places now in the States, not here. Here, you don't have to worry about that because you would have to get up earlier in the morning and have a whole lot more ambition than any Tico I've ever seen. And the Tico culture is to be nice, be nice, be nice. Tell somebody anything that they want to hear, be nice. That's really the thing. It's like today I'm watching those two mechanics, watch those two gas station employees talking to my husband over the breaking down car, and they're telling him, mechanic can fix it. And they're thinking, oh, heck no. The only fix for that is pushing it off a cliff and setting it on fire. But what I've started to do when I'm in the States, particularly like if I'm on a plane or I'm in something like that, or I'm in a church, whatever, I start talking to people around me. I start smiling. I start trying to be friendly. Why? Because I don't want anybody around me to feel like I'm not hearing them, I'm not seeing them, I'm not listening to them. And I think that's the only way I can think of to overcome some of this. Just one person at a time. And sometimes it's not possible. Last year I had I have a comical thing I always say when I'm traveling by myself, where I just giggle and say, I snore loudly. If I start snoring, you have my permission to do X, Y, or Z to me to make me stop snoring. I do a comedy thing. And 99% of the time, people laugh. Occasionally, I got a couple that looked at me like I was crazy and turned their backs on me the entire flight. Fortunately, it was in business class that we all had seats big enough for them to do so. It would have been awkward way back where the seats are tiny. But I meant it as a way to kind of break the ice and to try and be human. But it wasn't well received by this one set of people. I tried to do it this time when I was flying out by myself. And the first flight, it didn't go well. The priest looked at me like I was nuts. The lady on the other side looked at me like I was nuts. And I was kind of like, whatever, gotta go work on my pitch. So there's so many just weird problems in this world right now. And that's why I'm just so disgusted and mortified that this is the thing that Katie Joy is spending all of her time doing and talking about, and harming people, deliberately harming people to the point where she's living on their tears. I saw earlier she was doing something about Anna Duggar. And I was just like, not again. It's disgusting. These kids think all these horrible crimes will make them famous. Yeah, I don't know. My is doing crazy things. My chat, that's why I'm rereading it. Okay, you guys, it's been 43 minutes and I should be in bed. It's too late to be up and I'm feeling no closer to sleeping than earlier. Missing children and famicide. It's really going to hell in a handbasket. She could do good. That's the thing. I want to say that she could do excellent, and I'm rooting for her to do excellent. I'm rooting for her to do excellent, to change everything she's doing and do something excellent. And she has that potential. She has tremendous potential for good. And that's my challenge to her. Do good, girl. Okay, you guys, sleep tight. I'm about to attempt to, and I don't think I'm going to be very successful.